Hello. So, I was watching this video on this location by Desert Drifter on YouTube, a witness, or eyewitness, an ancient phenomenon during an astronomical event. And, so we're going to talk about this location because I thought it was really interesting. We got some Navajo night, it's called, music going on. We're in the here. So this location is in the Colorado Plateau, all the way up here. There's petroglyphs on this wall, and then the towers, as he called it, here. So mainly this is of interest with the just general surroundings as well as the petroglyph location, but more so geologically of interest. In terms of what happened here, this points to a lot more like evidence of what happened, is my interpretation. So this is where the petroglyphs are, over here, along that's the wall over there. This is the area between. So there's the wall over there. And this is the area between where the towers are at the top. Here's the towers. So it's like towers. So that's there. That's where the petroglyphs are. Notice, like over here, this. Like there's a roundedness here. Immediately I'm like, okay, this looks like a current is just running into this wall. Like if you look right here, there's literally like a circle. Like it was drilling in here. Current physically rotating as it flowed into the wall. It eddied along it repetitively because there's another one here with like a center here, and it moved over like here with that boundary, and here possibly all simultaneous to some degree. But then it got over here where it actually went through the wall and like etched out a pattern that I think is a product of it getting through the wall and then spraying. Like it sprays from like a focal point here, but then this shape is really odd. Like it got through the wall and like formed this shape. That's pretty odd at a glance. But if it has, let's say it has a eddy like this, so let's take a picture. Maybe let's actually go through these a little bit more. So here's the far wall, which if there's some kind of eddy drilling into this wall that then reaches over there, could reasonably produce that type of outcome with the roundedness to this. Somewhere the petroglyphs are over here. I don't know their scale. They might be tiny on this scale. I think there's also some stuff up here. So notice this is a common theme. There's this, the rocks are like draped in some kind of like current flow that ran down like a dripping, like it looks kind of like drip, just flowing down the side kind of appearance in a lot of places. Just worth noting. So here, though, notice as the camera turns, like this really starts to, like, right here, this boundary. Totally different over here, far wall. Over here, this wall. Yet we see a boundary that goes, so let's do this one. I was an asshole today. Sorry to anyone who I was an asshole to. Hugs. Hugs. Just rude. I talk too much shit to people who maybe haven't put the work in to be telling me what's up. But, it's still rude. And just like da da da. But then we got like an inner nucleus here that we see over there. But then if we just kind of continue it, it does look generally like a nucleus region there. So that's interesting. It's got a central column and then an outer ring to this conduit of current that's flowing, generally eddying as it flows. Like it's flowing, but it's flowing almost like, in order for a droplet of water to move forward, it has to go up and around to the next like stage in the eddy, and then literally like the whole thing is just swirling so that more distance can be like compacted into a given distance almost, so that that particle has to travel further to actually go the same distance, because it has so much velocity. There's no other way to like reduce its forward progress than to like make it swirl, I guess, in some energetic kind of way. That resistance leads to that kind of thing. Okay, let's hypothesize though. Like there's an eddy generally hitting that wall, one flowing one way or the other. Let's look. If there's any indications. Like this side looks more up down. In general, more up down. This side looks more like wrapping around. Like if this were to be an ammonite shape, it would kind of have like the tail end facing downward. Let's go back. It doesn't really have definition like that though. That would be cool if it did. I'm just thinking maybe we can decipher. Let's say it's going this clockwise. There's another little alcove over there. So it looks like maybe like the inner ring eroded there, and the outer ring eroded like across from there, potentially, or maybe related to over here even. So let's just say a current going through though that maybe had multiple eddies like this. Let's just say hypothetically going this way. It could be that this was going the opposite direction, like the Flower of Life episode. It could be, I don't know, where it just has multiple directions. This is definitely just one aspect of how this current is interacting with the wall. Like it's flowing down the entire channel. So let's go back to the Google Earth a little bit. Google Earth here. So if we go back, this is the alcove. So presumably the water, if what I'm saying is true, the water must be flowing westward this way and hitting the alcove over here. Which does look like promising just by this. Like somewhere it got in and eroded and then step and then step and then step and then step. Like eroding up and in there even. Like that is suggestive that it was flowing that way. Like the surroundings corroborate. But like where is it flowing from? This is actually kind of interesting. Where is it flowing from? If we follow this, like there's like a canyon here. Canyon. Oh. It kind of just fades away. So apparently, it appears there is a current that is flowing through here into this wall, presumably going through this channel at a depth in a way where it's like this is already eroded when this is hitting this wall. Like it's all part of the same process generally, so it's not like the bottom is subsequently eroded, maybe to a degree. Like current maybe was going across this way and latched in here in some way where then it wobbled it back and then it started to erode back this way, but ultimately it was going across in maybe a wobbly way, but generally across from some source. That if we go like this, over here there's this really straight thing, like a straight boundary. If there's a straight boundary, that is suggestive of somewhere the current flowed along, like over here, current flowed along here, over this way, like the Rocky Mountain Trench, like this, like current flowed along these straight boundaries. So that there is a straight boundary over here is suggestive that a current flowed along it. So given that we have interpreted that it flows westward here, it seems to suggest there was an outflow westward from this area along specifically this margin that generally propagated like through pressure this way, but like across the surface, not just along the riverbeds that were being etched by the interactions of other currents with this current and all their interactions, but going across this way to ultimately just generally go to there. So it seems there's some potential inflow. So if we look around, like it's worth looking at. I pulled these things up. Let me see, not that one. So I was watching this is from July 31st, so we already talked about this. But I was watching a video on how the Earth was made, and that led to these things that then led to me just mapping this. So we're looking at this. So these currents that were flowing into this area, then apparently there's an additional like outflow maybe this way that then goes over to where we're looking at in question over here. So let's compare. over here. We've got an inflow going that way through the ear by the eye. So eye through the ear. I know it's kind of ridiculous, but inflow this way, that then goes that way. Down that way. Over there. Through here. Okay. So there's a current going across this way generally. That then goes across this way, where it runs into resistances over here and just generally bends. Goes over this way and cuts through here, some of it. Like, gets through. Goes that way. And I don't know at that point, but it looks like some of it, at that point, it goes over, cuts through, but it can't, like, there's pressure here. Something's going on where it goes over this way and has to go up as if there's pressure here, so maybe it couldn't as easily flow this way, so there might have even been a flow back the other way out of this area that went through that way. Not sure based on just the rivers, but generally what I'm getting at is that would suggest current would wrap around this way and just go back all out that way. So like go up and through here, around and over and across, maybe around, and like doing like intricate things as it flows through this region, kind of doing the same thing that I was just mentioning, like to occupy this space with an eddy, because there's an actual eddy that was generally here, forming this like ammonite shape. To occupy this space with an eddy, the current was physically returning to generally the same locations over and over, but like along different paths, and interacting with itself to then form the overall shape. Oh, I'm such an ass sometimes. Brutal. Oof, I'm dirty. I'll say like the most ruthless shit sometimes. Say, not do. Total difference. Although someone could argue speaking is action, but like compared to action, like a ruthless person, at that point that's just a like mass murderer, like, or government like itself, which is mass murderer, mass genocidal government, then that's ruthless, like physically, which is totally different than like a ruthless mentally, but it's kind of fucked up too. It's just dirty. I'll just get reactive, like, no you didn't. No you didn't. Oh no. Can't allow this. Looks like it also went up that way. Maybe, I don't know. I was gonna say, maybe it was going the other way, and it was going above it to go up that way. I don't know the directions that currents flow through here very well. So let's just accept that there's a westward propagating current, presumably. If there's not, that can be disproven relatively easily. But anyway, let's move on from that general thing that I was getting kind of stuck on. Look at this some more. So it really does rotate into view, this circle and this view. And then, again, the circles over there. More visible until it reaches the towers. And then over here, it doesn't really seem like it did that. In fact, it seems like it eroded less. Like it's actually physically closer to the camera. It's got like a segment less eroded. So the current flow is eroding like entire sheets, making this rubble probably. Until it actually got through the resistance and then went to the other side, eroded over there, but then it did not erode here, leaving not a pile of rubble at the foot of it, as at least of the same like magnitude remotely. Like all around here it's eroded into rubble, it seems. So I guess if this is an indication, this is physically just from right there, pretty much. Like it's just right there, eroded, fell down, deposited. There's like particulate of it eroded too, so it's like turned into powdery materials and like back into sand, maybe not made to be sand or sandstone. Maybe it didn't like fully form as sandstone in some compressive process that this was like pushing the pressure out internally. I don't know. Let's just say it was like fully formed enough relative to this that it was just eroded though, probably, and maybe it was like more so like, what's the word? Using one of those mortar things. Pistils? Pestle? Mortar. Yeah, one of those things. Ground down to a pulp by this eddy, pushing the rock into other rock and just grinding it, probably. And then physically having like particles of sandy material as well that are probably like participating in etching the boundaries of these circles, like actually etching, because the water needs some kind of material in it to really be doing this, to erode, to actually break off chunks and not just flow along the surface of it or push it, but to actually get into it and break it down takes particles. Okay, just a heaping mound. It also has like tiers upward. Makes me think of like a current wrapping around this corner, kind of angling in a way where this side had like a ramp that was more stably protected because the current was being forced around the corner, so it pressured up sideways like this to create this like mound over here. But it's actually more than just like debris. And we also see another circle here. Really clear because of this. And there. Up there. There's that one. There's one there. We definitely see them. It's very much like the Himalayas. See my Damn It Arcoon videos. See my Damn It Arcoon videos. Oh my god. Very much like it. The pressure points video, at the least, is specifically about that. Okay, there it is over there. And then there's this just straight flat edge. That's kind of interesting. Why would that happen? Oh, I went too fast. I was trying to look for specific images, I guess. Just some of the walls. And notice something I noticed. Things could be petroglyphs, or they could be eroded into the wall at times. Like, it's unclear. It's unclear at times. Which then gives me the impression, like over here, for example, this could be a head, this could be some kind of body, an arm, this could be some other figure, some like legs that they're doing something, but it could also just be eroded in there. Down here, like these things, this looks kind of up, down, like it could have some kind of wave petroglyph symbol intended. Over here, some interesting little ripples. But, like, I don't get the impression that any of it actually is petroglyphs in this instance. Like, down here. I mean, I guess if something is, then so be it. But, like that, I still don't really get the impression that's actually a petroglyph. It looks very similar to, like, over here, this. I mean, it looks more petroglyph-like, but it also looks more like this, and like this. To the point where, like, is it one? Which is an interesting thing. If you saw my last episode where we're talking about something that's clearly, like, not even questioned, it is man-made, according to modern interpretation. Talking about it from the analysis, could this be geological? I mean, we're gonna come across some things that, like, wait a minute. So again, notice all the draping, like all this. Notice this. That's important with Rico. Sorry, it's important, but it's important to, as well as this, to subtle features later as we go. So here's one. Is it a petroglyph? It looks a lot more like it could be, or it should be, or is. But, like, is this a petroglyph? Because it kind of looks similar. It's got a little circle thing. This, I mean, it's kind of opposite there, but circle thing, kind of up, down around it. Like, some semblance of it. And then if we look at the wall itself, down, up, or down, up, down. And then it kind of fades out doing that, but it has that shape there, and there, and really here. So, like, this thing flows off of this over here. So, like, in order for this to be man-made, it seems whoever did this had to also do this. But then this approaches a point in the rock where it's actually, like, indented substantially, not just, like, engraved looking like over here. Like, if they did this, they would have had to intentionally engrave this way and then remove, like, a piece of material here. This layer that's, like, clearly was there. That's just not there anymore. But, like, over here, then it's there. At some point where this dark material shows up, then this layer is not there. So it's like, did they remove that? I don't think they did that. So then did they take this boundary and just kind of follow it? Or, I mean, it seems like it might just naturally be there, is what I'm getting at. See it over here in a lot of, like, ripples up and down that don't look particularly intended, let's say. Up, down here. Kind of ammonite shallogram features. Down, up, down. Like resonant in different frequencies, overlapping eddies, doing things, making chakras, and making the ridges. Like the layering through sideways. So we've got sideways layering, and then at times that draping up down thing going on. A little blurry, but that's kind of interesting. Like, did someone do this, or did the local energies create circumstances that, lichen, I don't know if that's lichen, whatever that is, grew on this rock energetically in that vibrational position, because that's where the actual energy in the rock, that this thing, whatever's on it, most benefited from, is literally living off it. And it even looks like it's not quite a single circle. It starts to go around this other nucleus, so it's kind of like a secondary system around this. What? And then over there, and then there's that wall. Which maybe suggests the eddy is going this way. Maybe. I don't know why. Thinking something applying a pressure over here and up the wall. Although I guess if it's going this way, it could go up the wall and some pressure. But I guess because that current, maybe. Here we go. I got an idea. It's eroding over here and over here, but less water makes it over here because it's going through this way. And I think this was it. Going through here, hitting this wall, and continuing. And only so much goes over this way and around, so it doesn't erode over here as much as it erodes past where that point is, where that same erosion, if we go like this, it's probably very much in line with this boundary, where then the towers are at, and that erosional piece outward there that I guess is around here is starts probably along this boundary, cross directly, and then directly over to there too. Although it does look like that boundary, interestingly, is more that way. And this is more perpendicular at this point, which is kind of suggestive the water was really flowing off of here and into this area. And some of it was flowing this way, but it was largely flowing more across. Along this boundary. Maybe that boundary, I don't know. In there. That seems like it would push it this way. This one that's this way. Maybe then this boundary over here, there. A width though, over here. A width going across this region that reaches this area. That's really at play. It's coming out of here, I guess, then. So we've got one going that way. That's generally feeding into this current path. But then we've got another current that seems to be more so along this path. in here. It's coming from also there. In part, maybe going across this way and up that way. Through there, and then across that way. Which would suggest some of it is running into resistance up here. It looks like it might have flowed out that way. And then just went around the edge, maybe. I'm not sure. Let's keep looking at it. So again, notice these little circles. So we got little circle erosion things. It's presumably erosion. Nothing that really screams like petroglyph. Over here, again, we got that little circle. We got what seems to be erosion. A little circle there. Little circles within it. Notice the circles within it because they're relevant. Keep going. No, again, the little circles within it. Like, no one is doing this. If we look at the wall, they're everywhere. But they seem to be more so here, to the point where they actually eroded the material down. That's my interpretation. Possibly coming from within by just being able to see like a crack in there. Like it seems like current coming from within was like eroding outward along here. And then here, like maybe it came from within, eroded outward along here, but it did so in a much more like distributed way that just removed like a, I don't know, it seems more like it was outside. So maybe this current that went out went into other currents and literally just went back into the wall and like drilled into the wall like that. Although it does it pretty much everywhere. Definitely more pronounced though in locations where it's actually eroding away substantially. And then we get to this. So all this time, notice, we're looking around at all this. And in here, it's barely noticeable. You might not have noticed, because I didn't even remember that these were the pictures with it. So I didn't notice. So I don't know if you noticed. If you noticed, pardon me for not noticing sooner, there's this. I mean, clearly, it's a big horn. Like a horned sheep type thing. With some other kind of thing over there, whatever that may be. That is like, okay, that's a petroglyph, or whatever the terms are. I know there's different terms depending on what it is. Whatever exactly. That's one, right? But it, like, what's weird about it is it's shaped by those same little circles of erosion. And then over here, little circles. Like, we see them around it, but they're way more pronounced within this. And then we look over here, it's much more, like, it's doing that over there. Why did they do that? If someone were to do this, would they do it by the little circular motions? Do we know of anyone doing that? Like they take, like starting a fire, like, And then would they happen to do it on a wall where the whole wall has those things? In a less like high concentration, in a lower concentration than in the sheep. But I believe this thing is natural. We can look at the earth. We see a like fox or something here. We see over here like a very similar thing. Legs, general body with some kind of tail, maybe what way bigger tail here, but like a head with an eyeball with some kind of horn. Leg. Like, it can happen. Oops. Really not that different from here. I mean, it's got a divide where current wind, so kind of maybe two legs. I don't know, it's kind of cheating in some way. There's also maybe a leg back there. I don't know. It's more of a recessed. But then over here, like this one with the eyeball, the ear, antler type things going on, a nose, nostril, cheek area, etc. Like, these are things that just happen. I know it sounds ridiculous. I'm well aware how ridiculous that sounds to just hear that without having considered it. To literally just like, without even like the chain to get there whatsoever, to why to even think that might be plausible. Like, look at shallograms. That's all I can say. I have hundreds of hours, well, at least 100 hours of literally analyzing shallograms at this point. Hundreds of hours related to shallograms of video content that relate to just how structures like this can form. So, like, my thought is maybe someone came along, was like, what the? Imagine you realize, because you lived during the time, that this massive flood thing happened that changed the world entirely, shaped the world when you, like, found land after the flood. You're like, holy shit, there's land. And you start to explore the land, knowing this is a wholly new land. No one has been here before. This is the product of the flood. And you come to this place and you're like, is that a sheep? And you look up at the freaking above it. You look above it and you're like, is that a sheep? Like, people suggest this is a sheep right here. Some kind of animal sitting perched on the ledge, like a sphinx appearance. Whoa, like a sphinx. And then just like horns. What I envision is also like another eddy, like over here, going, instead of going this around clockwise, counterclockwise in the plane of the wall, it's actually going along, like in, out, over here, in and out. And then over here, this one actually looks either in and out way bigger, or in like that kind of way some reason. But I got the impression that in order to get through these areas, to actually cut through in a way that it did this. Like, it actually spaced the interactions from the center area to have an eddy here and then another eddy that was etching between the head of the Sphinx here and like its butt area or whatever, etching in there, and then etching in this little groove in here, and then basically making like an actual horn, and then another horn over here. So, however that is, in a way where it's like a bighorn sheep. And then, mind you, like this area, maybe we can go. I don't know if I'll just go here. This area literally has a bighorn shape here in the magnetic anomaly map centered on Bighorn Mountain. There's something sacred to what is going on here. Bighorn Mountain has a eddy centered on it of an ammonite shape. And then down south of it, over, because the center of that is all the way over here. All the way over here is this horn that literally spans like a huge area of North America that is centered on Bighorn Mountain. And then down here is this other bighorn thing, like, and then all of just everything with Native Americans and animals and like spirit animals and things. Like, there's something going on here. That's why I don't think this petroglyph is as simple. Like this one, like, is it a petroglyph? I don't think so, because look at the wall around it. So that one I can feel more comfortably suggesting, well, look at the wall around it. Did they do that? Like, wow, they did this? Because they would have had to do it all, really. Over here, like, for it to be everywhere, unless they were mimicking it, but then why would they mimic it and it not just have been all like this? Why would we add this step that they mimic this, like, more nuanced thing because we think so? Like, are you sure currents can't do that? Because they can. Almost like kind of enters into a groove. Okay. So there's that. Other stuff. So there's that over there. There it is over there. Some more. Another angle. So I believe this is on the side. The water is coming through. So the other side, it's hitting. Whereas on this side, what is going on in places like that? It almost looks like there's actually a hole in the wall. I don't think it is, though. I guess it's just like this. It just looks so different. But it's interesting, there's nubs over here looking stuff. Like on the side that it went through from the other side. Because it was pretty much going through, cutting this rock apart, slicing it across layers. As current actually went through this material, as well as opening the space in the top for it to flow through. Like, this looks like another eddy was over here even. Like, wrapping around some which way. But then it looks like they have some nubs here. That's interesting the way it did this. Down, over, down, over. What? Very odd. Although it looks like this might continue right there. And maybe there, so still kind of interesting. It shifted where it predominantly was eroding at this level some reason. Little hole in the top of the Sphinx. It definitely looks like a Sphinx. It just looks reflective. Crazy. And then this is where, I mean, we can even see really like a nucleus where it's hitting the wall. Up around it. Round it. Round it. Possibly like another one down there. Around it, even around here. Still with that slantedness. Looks like it just went over the top of the left area and down and eroded down this way. I guess part of why this was so like it is because it was being forced through like a nozzle. So it became more of like a spray point that had higher pressure that was hitting over here than like the wider distribution of the current would have. But because it had this general column of the eddy currents flowing into the wall that was being focused through smaller channels, it was forced to have like a high velocity hitting this wall over here. Seems likely. River itself goes up and like runs into resistance, bends, runs into resistance, maybe doing the same where it bends, bending like at these corners. Wow, that's crazy. Approaches this thing, bend, approaches this, bend. So cool. I know people are like, well, that's what the hell do you think it would do? But it doesn't have to approach here. It could cut across here. That's my point. It could just be going straight across. No, it's going up, abutting this thing, which presumably would have like a hill around it, like over here, that generally slopes to a center point, and this is not the low point, so why would the river choose a path over here if it could have chose a low point path this way? But apparently this is the low point. That's a little odd. And it seems to systematically be doing it, deflecting off of that. Let's look here. Also, it's like right north of the Horseshoe Canyon where all these currents are at, so it's definitely really curious features. Here it is. So river goes, let's see, let's go back a bit to where it generally starts. See, it's not really running into this, it's just kind of following the center. A little bit running into it there, but generally following the center. Then it kind of runs into this side here and bends around, and then follows, wraps around, but it's following the center here. And then it runs right into this thing pretty much and deflects off it. And then it takes a kind of straight path, deflect straight, and then deflect straight, deflect straight, deflect straight, deflect straight, deflect straight. Oh, and then it kind of reaches a center point where it's more able to just go like that until here. Then it looks like some other current coming out of here maybe, and out of these that were flowing more into a larger channel from side channels. Going through here, and through here, and through here. But by this one going across, it like shoved the balance point to the side. But it didn't like that because there was a wall there, so it bounced off that, but then it bounced into the other stuff, but it reached like a balance point, I guess, where they kind of went straight into it and converged and went that way. It seems, and then went that way, but more balanced along the wall here. It just pushed a little bit out from this side, where it could have just kept going straight, I guess. So it was pushed out over here. It looks even like a landslide kind of thing happened there almost. From that angle, I don't know. Not really from looking at it more like this, but just the way it's like extended, looks like it smeared out almost. Not a landslide per se, but like the current, like there were currents flowing off of here. Or maybe around here. And off of here, but around here. As this whole branch, going back to that thing, started joining this branch back to here, so it's like reaching this inlet area. So there's almost like a wall, like anything going this way is going to create a wall for this other current. So there's going to be some delay for current from over here to go through this way. So it like segments it into these, and then maybe leads to eddies there though, an eddy there, that then like wraps around here, pushes in this way, out this way, in, out, but doing an eddy like this, to then cause the overall path that ended up being where this river would ultimately go, to be that way. And then it joins at a 90-degree angle, runs into it, and I guess gets generally deflected though across that way, and then along this wall. Although, it kind of looks like it's going the other way right there. It's possible there's back currents, multiple directions going on here. It's probably really complex in what the hell is happening. There's so much detail around here for these currents. Oh my god. Whoa. Whoa. So cool. Oh my lord. That place is etched by these currents. Holy crap. Wow, look at those little eddies. Oh my god. Holy crap. Where is that? Oh, it's like a... It's the third eye, of course it is. The fox's third eye. It's just utterly incredible. And now I lost it. There it is. Oh my god. What in the... Overlain by deposits, it seems. Wow. Oh my. I mean, it's just showing the current paths this way. It's so shallogram-like, too. This is like shallograms. Wow. Different color materials too. It didn't care. It just went through. It's interestingly different directions here. Going this way. Very straight this way, but this is kind of bent. It's not the same, but it's over top it. Like, it seems like there's an undercurrent related to a direction in this path, and then overcurrent that's physically sweeping atop it this way. Maybe another current. Or maybe their interactions as this like bends into it. Because this is eroded. Like down here it's just gone. So maybe like there was some current that was through here dominantly holding this area, but then when this got over here, it interacted with it and helped erode it more in this area. So that the only view of the other current going this way is more like intermediary. I don't know. Very strange. Very cool. Little shallogram type features. There it is again. Definitely see circular erosional patterns. It just makes it that much more profound. Stonehenge is in the news lately. I'm like, am I gonna? No, no way. I started looking around. Some interesting potentials, not gonna lie. I'm thinking about it. In a manga Maui in my last episode kind of way. This is incredible. Like chakra, dude. It's legit like a chakra. Interior of an ammonite, or of a shalogram ammonite imprint. Or like, oh, that one. I mean, it does. It's got like a flat top kind of thing, like there, here, but then a chakra type thing attached to it here. I don't know what's going on this. Like maybe that's all one. I don't know. But then it's got this rounded, some lines in the back there. Like I don't know. It's the most shalogram looking thing I saw of this nature. Very strange. Like clearly water flowed into this and eroded. But it seems to have done it in a kind of shalogram-like way. Like this looks like it's another rock over here, and then that one. Like they're not really attached. But like this one, that is a different material, is definitely part of this rock. It's maybe just more eroded. It's the same material, but different color. Very chakra-like. I don't know if these lines wrap towards a chakra in any meaningful way. Doesn't necessarily look like it. Like wrap up this way. And then there's other petroglyphs here. So let's say that bighorn sheep or whatever, that sheep thing, is somehow geological. That kind of raises a question, are all of them geological here? Some more stuff. This I thought interesting. You kind of see like a circular thing around it. Which is where someone is thought to have been. He was saying maybe they used it for something, but I was thinking like an actual current did it. Shaped by currents. He went over here with some interesting stuff over here. More shalogram type things. Really very shalogram like. Over there, like chakras. Very shalogram like. There's even these things down that are kind of curious. Still very shalogram like. I thought this was interesting, the different layers or tiers. I guess down there was that rock. that had seemed to have had a current flowing into it. Chakras. There's this. Like there's a rounded erosion over here, and then a clearly rounded disc-like thing here, like strongly suggestive of eddy currents. It's not like someone did this. Like, this is incredible. Sorry, guys, I am really tired. Just fucking chakras. Like, that looks really shallow-rim-like. That looks frightening. Don't fall on me, please. Please. Please don't. It's kind of like the US government. That looks precarious. Everything alright up there? Again, down. No, there's other petroglyphs. Okay. Let's go to the other petroglyphs. So other petroglyphs are... this place is called Yellow Comet Alcove. So I found some articles about it. Here's some of the other petroglyphs there. Like, here's that wall, here's petroglyph, petroglyph, petroglyph. Like, that looks man-made, like someone did it. That looks like someone did it. But, like, I'm like, is it possible? Because this one, maybe, is not the best one. Oops. How did I get there? Oh. There's that. Like this one. Similar to the other one, but it looks like a lot of its, like, features are in these lines up and down, which are like the rest of the wall. So, like, did they do that? Did someone do that? Or is, like, there's also this line that's similar color going across to about its top. Like, if there's some kind of erosion that's draping down from some general top area, like across this band of where the ripples are more pronounced here. I mean, I guess they're pronounced everywhere, but they got this color in there where maybe, like, it's somehow feeling down through in some kind of dropping, like, dripping kind of way almost, but high energy process that then actually creates a shape, like a container, region, some kind of nucleus even, maybe. But then it has, like, a head and legs that makes it look more like a petroglyph. I don't know. Then, like, this one. I don't really want to link all these. Then this one. The ones. It's a pain in the ass to link everything. Sorry, guys. I'll link, like, the articles. This is kind of what I was looking for, this thing. Like this kind of thing. Like they're almost certainly actual petroglyphs, but wouldn't it be interesting if there was actually like an outlet, like through what I was kind of thinking, some kind of place in the wall where the current almost like bled through out of the wall, of having some material that was like being expelled from the wall because of the current flow through it that was transporting it, that was then came out in like some kind of pixel like circular way, like the current flow in a band like propagating like that, but came out of the wall like that. And then once it was out of the wall, maybe it just kind of drips downward, but does so in a way that tends to create shoulders for some reason, maybe. Like drips down and then runs into some kind of resistance where then it fans out further and then drips down from there across the whole width. I don't know. Like, maybe. Is it possible? It seems unlikely. Like, but there's a lot of things that I haven't. I just don't know unless I really look at the things specifically. This is probably legitimately like painted on the wall, maybe. They tested and know that it's like man-made and not some like material bled out of the wall. I mean, if I'm suggesting Amunga, whatever, this place could have been geologically formed in the flows of these currents, because I've proven shallograms which are far more complex. These things are formed in currents. It's not even a question. I've demonstrated it. These are not fossils. They're fully and entirely shaped by current flows. So, like, here's some similar features to that wall. In a row. Little things like that, definitely everywhere. Different, like, natures to their widths of the chakras and things. All sorts of variations in the way an eddy can take form in a structure, but ultimately being an eddy and not a fossil. So like that, to suggest this maybe happened because of reasons that seem pretty like plausible. What exactly how it happened, I don't know yet. If it is true, but it seems plausible enough that I feel almost like I broke the seal. I'm much more willing to entertain random things. I mean, like the sphere of Hawaii. Like, if it seems in line, I'm gonna entertain it. Like, even if it's false. It should be at least considered if the idea occurs to me, or coming across an idea should at least be considered before dismissing it. Just because it sounds ludicrous doesn't mean it's wrong, and just because it sounds reasonable doesn't mean it's right. But sufficiently reasonable ultimately approaches just like philosophical, deductive, like a science of thought that is like anyone can like repeat the experiment almost kind of thing. Okay, dudes. I thank you for hanging out. See you next time. Hope that was interesting. Peace out. I know I say that all the time.